today, me and Annie are going to be talking about how to find a balance with nutrition and exercise. And I'm sure everybody can relate that sometimes it's really hard to be able to manage eating healthy and finding time to exercise, whether that's walking, running, whatever your form is. And so that's what we're going to go over today. Okay, so today we're going to talk about 4 different objectives, and this is what we want you to take away from today. So the first one's going to be, we want you to learn why we need food to fuel our bodies. And this is something me and Annie find very important. We want you to begin at the look at food as fuel. So at the end of this, we want you to understand that food is like fueling us for the day. So that's what's going to give us energy, and that's a really important way to look at it. The second objective is going to be to understand the different macronutrients we use as fuel. So I feel like we see the word macronutrient all the time, whether it's on Facebook, different social media platforms, and we don't always really understand what they are or why we need them in their bodies. So we're going to go over that. And then we're going to teach you guys new ideas about how to incorporate physical activity into your daily life. So like I had said before, this is a struggle I feel like everyone can kind of relate to. So we're going to go over those. And then we're going to teach you about mindfulness and you'll take away that and understanding the relationship with food. Okay. So now we're going to do a poll, but the way we set it up, we're going to have you put it into the chat box. So the question is, do you ever find it difficult to find time to exercise, eat healthy, and manage a busy schedule? So in the chat box, if you can, let me know yes, no, or maybe. Okay, so I capitalize yes.
A lot of yeses.
Okay, yes, there's no no's. Okay, I feel like me and Annie can definitely relate on this. It's really hard to manage it. And if you guys want, can you put in the chat box some of the things that you like, why is it so hard? Like having time to put it in your schedule, just like a lack of different things. Like what are some reasons why it is so challenging? If you feel comfortable putting that in there. Let's see. Yeah, busy schedule, tend to eat on the run, tired, business, toddler, yeah. Yeah, so I feel like we can all relate on that. Things get really, really busy. Yep, and so we all eat at different times. I was telling someone the other day, I was like, I think I eat in my vehicle more than I eat at my home. So I understand that. Okay, so this is going to kind of segue into our next topic, which is food is fuel. So I talked about this before, and I really, really like this phrase because I think when we eat, we should look at food as like our fuel because it's what's going to get us through the day and what's going to help us stay organized and our brains are going to stay sharp. So when you're eating, I think really look at it as like, you know, when you fill up your car, you need gas in your car to drive. And that's kind of with food. We need food in order to be able to get through the day and feel energized. Okay, so the next question that we have is, do you ever find yourself feeling tired, sluggish, or lacking energy midday? So the options we have here that you can put in the chat are often, sometimes, or never. Okay. We have a lot of oftens, sometimes. Okay, yes. I feel like this is something everyone struggles with, and you can put this in the chat box too. What time of day do you feel like you tend to feel most sluggish or like less energized? Yes, I totally relate. Okay, like 2 to 3 p.m. is kind of morning. Okay. 3. Yeah, so I would say that mid-afternoon is kind of a really tough time sometimes. So we are going to go into ways that we can fuel our body through the day. So hopefully we can kind of beat that when we start to feel like that. Okay, so how is food fuel? So a couple of things I thought were important are it keeps our energy levels up. So like we had mentioned before, everybody gets busy and sometimes it's just easy to skip a meal or you're on the go and you kind of forget to eat or something. And then once that happens, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I don't feel very good or I don't have a lot of energy. So we're going to go into this in a little bit, but food gives us energy because of the macronutrients we get from it, specifically carbohydrates. Another really important thing, we all can relate to this the past year with COVID, is it's going to help us fight off sickness. And I don't know about you guys, but when I get stressed out, I tend to always catch a cold or something. So if we are fueling our body with healthy foods, strong foods, it's going to help us not get sick as often, which is very important. And then another one, which I think relates to midday when you feel sluggish, tired, it's hard to concentrate. If we are eating and giving our body that fuel, our minds are going to be alert and sharp. And if we can put in the chat box, how many of you, when you're hungry, you can just say yes or no, feel like you can't focus or you can't concentrate, you're not getting as much work done as you typically could if you weren't hungry? Yeah. Okay. Yep. So we have a general consensus. Yes. It's very hard to focus when you're hungry. And it's hard for your brain to work. Okay. And another one is it improves how well your body functions. So as we go on through this presentation, we're going to discuss exercise a little bit more. So, and when we say exercise, we mean really anything where you're just moving your body. And when you don't have food and you lack that fuel, it's going to be really hard to function or to want to because you're not going to feel very good. So that's really a key component there. And like I had mentioned, our brains, we're using our brains all day. And I think sometimes we forget how like hard our brains are working. So when we don't have enough food, the fuel, our brains are going to lack that and we're not going to be able to concentrate as well. Okay, so now we're going to go into what does our body use as fuel. So we specifically have 3 different macronutrients and we're going to break them down. So the first one is carbohydrates. So when I say the word carbohydrates, can you guys put in the chat box and tell me what comes to mind? Whether it be a food or anything you think of when I say carbs. Okay. Okay, we're getting a lot of pasta, bread, potatoes. Yeah, okay, we're getting a general fruit. That's a good one. Okay. Sugar, yep. Okay, kind of getting a general consensus here. And then another thing I want you to put in the chat is when I say carbohydrates, do you think of the word good or do you think of the word bad? Okay. Okay, we have a good, mostly bads, another good. Yum, yes, I agree. Yum, for sure. Okay, so we had a couple goods, but generally we had everyone say bad. So as we know, if you eat a lot of carbohydrates, that's not necessarily going to be great because as you can see at the bottom of the bullet points, you want 45 to 65% of your daily calories to be from carbohydrates. And carbohydrates are very important, especially for fuel, because it's the body's preferred fuel source. So it is what we need immediately for our bodies to wake up and be like, okay, I am going to use this as energy to be able to function. So I want us as a whole, when we think of the word carbs or hear the word carbs, to not think of it as bad, but think of it as, okay, this is my immediate fuel that I need for my body to function, to help me get through the day. Again, it's the body's main energy source. It's needed to fuel the body and the brain, and it protects our muscles. So that's very important as well. So some sources of it, and you guys already put this in the chat box, is vegetables, fruit, bread, pasta, rice, and dairy. So a lot of our carbohydrates do come from bread and pasta and rice. And a good way to think about those is just always have them in moderation. And you're going to get that energy burst from a small amount as well. So now we are going to go into fats. So in the chat box, when I say the word fat, can you guys tell me what immediately comes to mind? Grease, butter, yep, oils. Avocado mayo, yeah. Whole milk, yep. Desserts, yes. Okay, perfect. These are good ones. Okay, so fats, again, I feel like are a macronutrient that have kind of been painted as you want to avoid, unless they're healthy fats. So again, I will preach this for all of these. It's just about moderation. And fats are important because they're necessary for the body's cell growth. So we really, really need these. And it's going to help our body absorb specific vitamins, specifically vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and K. So that's a really important thing. That's a big reason why we want to eat our fats. And it helps with energy storage. And for our fats, we want 20 to 35% of our daily calories to be from fats. So some examples of fats are going to be meat, fish, chicken, dairy, oils, nuts, seeds, and avocados. So those are going to be some different sources of fats. And with fats, like we had mentioned, there are desserts, whole milk, butter, grease, and some of these things have been painted as being really bad for you, which too much excess, yes. But if you eat the serving size or the specific amount in moderation, then no, as long as you're meeting that 20 to 35% of your daily calories from fats, then all is good. Okay, so now we're going to go into protein. So protein is very important, especially when we incorporate it into exercise. If you are beginning to walk or run or bike, whatever your form of exercise is, protein is going to be really important for our muscles. So it is we have a question. I'll read it quick. As we get older, do we need to be on the upper end of the protein percentage? This is a really, really good question. So typically we suggest that people want to eat, I'm going to write this in here. We say 0.8 grams of kilograms per day of protein. So that's what we typically go by. So we do suggest that as you get older, typically I want to say it's going to be over like 60 or 65, right, Annie? When we start to really suggest to increase your protein. So then you would want to increase it to 1 gram per kilogram or a little bit higher than that. Do you have anything else to add for that, Annie?
Yeah, and we kind of want to increase that protein intake just so we keep that lean body mass and keep those muscles nice and healthy and strong.
Yeah, great question. And so with protein, it's the body's building blocks. So it's used to build and repair muscle. And like Annie said, lean body mass is very important. And so our protein is going to help us maintain that. So as we do get older, we want to maintain that lean body mass. So that's where protein is vital and when you'd want to begin to increase it. It's used to make enzymes and hormones, which are essential for daily function. And then for protein, we want to eat 10 to 35% of daily calories from that. And so some examples of proteins are going to be meat, chicken, fish, tofu, eggs, dairy, nuts, beans, and legumes. And then with protein, we typically suggest to eat our lean proteins. So we're going to go with our chicken and fish, beans and legumes, which are plant-based proteins. And then we do have our red meats. So those we suggest to eat a little bit less of, limit that consumption due to cholesterol levels. Okay. So when should you fuel yourself is the next thing we are going to talk about, because I think this is something sometimes people are like, well, when is the best time for me to eat this snack? Or when is it going to make me feel most energized? So we're going to go into that. So I think we have a question next. Yeah. Okay, so what time in the day do you feel like you need to fuel yourself the most? So in the chat box, can you tell me breakfast, lunch, dinner, or in between meals, so snacks? Like what time of the day do you feel like you need to eat food immediately to feel energized and fueled? Okay, lunch, breakfast and snacks, breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, yep. Yeah, okay, so we kind of got a mix. We got a couple breakfasts, got a couple lunches, and I think one dinner. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to talk about is breakfast for fueling yourself. Okay, so we already did that. We talked about, okay, we can go to the next one. Okay, so the importance of breakfast. So Breakfast is very important. And the reason that it is because, so we slept all night, right? And we just woke up and we're like, our bodies are like, okay, I'm hungry. I need something to get through the day. So we had mentioned this before, but a really important thing that we get from breakfast is brain power. So in the chat box, and any of you tell me when you wake up in the mornings, do you ever just feel a little groggy or like your brain just isn't as sharp as it usually is? You can just say yes or no. Okay. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Most of you are saying yes. Totally. The one no. Okay. I cannot relate. I feel like I'm always groggy in the mornings. Okay, yeah. So that is why breakfast is important, because when we feel like that, we haven't eaten all night. Obviously, we've been sleeping. So we want to eat. We'll get a carbohydrate. We'll get some glucose in us. It's going to be able to help us concentrate. So when we get to work or school, whatever it may be, we're going to be able to focus. Another thing that breakfast is important for is memory. It's linked to better memory. I sometimes cannot remember things and I'm like, what is going on? It tends to be when I haven't eaten enough. So memory is very important. And it's also a healthy habit. So if we get in the habit of eating breakfast, it tends to lead to healthier choices throughout the day. And it has been linked to, if you do skip breakfast, you're more likely to snack on high fat and high sugar foods. And I don't know if you guys know the term hangry, hungry and angry combined, but sometimes if we skip breakfast and we wait all that time to eat, we're going to get hangry. We're not going to feel very good. So something I actually want you to tell me in the chat is, do you feel like, you can say yes or no, if you skip breakfast, you're more likely to eat not as a healthy of an option throughout the day just because you're so hungry? So we can say yes or no to that. Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. General consensus is yes. Definitely. Okay. And that's something we just want to work on, and eating breakfast can help with that. Okay, so now we have some breakfast ideas for fueling. So in the chat box, can you guys tell me what your go-to breakfast is typically? Oatmeal or smoothie, eggs. Yep, hard-boiled eggs and toast. Frozen breakfast burrito. Velveeta breakfast bars, nice. Bacon and eggs. Awesome, okay. These are all really good. Yogurt, nuts, and fruit mix. Yeah. Okay, everyone has really good breakfast. Granola, yogurt, and whole grain bread. Okay, you guys are on the right track. So a lot of my suggestions are very similar to that. So I have whole grain cereal, whole grain breads. We have yogurts, berries, bananas, apples, granola bars, pancakes, waffles, nut butter, avocado, eggs, and bagel. So a lot of these, in the mornings, we typically know we don't have a lot of time. So a lot of us need to grab and go. And so a lot of these options are really good for that. And a lot of these options are going to be carbohydrates. So like we discussed, our body's main fuel source. So it's going to be what we eat, and we're going to feel energized and we're going to feel good and be ready to take on the day. So those are some different examples. And then now we are going to go into the importance of snacking. So in the chat box, how many of you snack? You can say yes or no. Okay, I think everybody in the world snacks. Oh no, Hugh doesn't snack. Okay, and someone said guilty. So snacking is like vital. I will always say this. It is vital, I think, to getting through the day. So important things about snacking are, it's going to help us sustain those energy levels. So I'm sure a lot of you can relate, after we wake up, we eat breakfast, a couple hours later, we're like, ooh, I'm really hungry. I don't know if I can make it to lunch. And then that's when you start to lack concentration and focus. So snacks are going to help us with that. We'll go into exercise in a little bit. They're going to be important for exercise, typically 15 to 30 minutes before, again, for a little energy boost. You're going to feel good. It's going to help your body function. It's going to help the body recover from exercise. So another important thing about snacks is, if you are able to snack in between breakfast, lunch, or lunch and dinner, it's going to help you to not overeat at your other meals. Because if we don't snack throughout the day, and say we just go from lunch at noon, wait all the way until 6 or 7 to eat dinner, you're so hungry by then that you're just going to eat, and may overeat. And then another important thing with snacks is going to help us get those vitamins and minerals throughout the day. I feel like on social media platforms, we're always reading about we need to get those vitamins, those minerals from our fruits and vegetables. And sometimes we're like, well, I'm not eating enough to get all of those. So snacking can help with that because we can implement specific snacks that will help us get those vitamins and minerals. And then another thing about snacking can help regulate blood sugar levels. So can we put in the chat, yes or no, how many of you, if you notice that you haven't eaten a lot in the day, you don't feel very good? You get a headache, you might be a little dizzy, you just can't focus. Okay. Yes. So this can be from your blood sugar levels being down because you haven't eaten. So you don't have that glucose, you don't have the sugar. Okay. So if you do feel like that, this is an important signal to be like, okay, maybe I should have a snack right now. Okay, all right. So now we're going to talk about some different ideas for snacking. So some of them I have listed here. Some of you actually wrote these for breakfast. Somebody put a smoothie, granola, quick snacks that we can have throughout the day that are easy to transport. Easy, we can put in the mini fridge or that don't need to be in the fridge. So we have smoothies. Hummus and veggies is a really, really good one. Hummus is a plant-based protein as well. And then our veggies. We have almonds and string cheese, which is one of my favorites. It's really easy. It's going to help you feel full as well. We have cheese and meat, turkey roll-ups. So that's kind of getting your favorite lunch meat, maybe putting some cheese in it, a little hummus or avocado, popcorn, fruit, granola bars, a protein ball, hard-boiled eggs. Some of you mentioned that for breakfast, and pretzels.
Alrighty, so taking it over from here, I kind of want to talk about mindful eating. And I think mindful eating is a great partner to, Maddie's tips for snacks and breakfast, just because, we're listening to our hunger cues. And now you're going to be like, Annie, what's mindful eating? So the proper definition of mindful eating is it's an approach to food that focuses on individuals' awareness of food and their experience of food. So kind of the reason why I wanted to talk about mindful eating is that, it can increase our acceptance of our body and also about what we're eating. It makes us more aware about what choices that we're eating, either for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or snacks. And it also, increases the positivity associated with food. So how can we mindfully eat? So one of the really important cues of mindfully eating is just listening to your hunger cues. Are you actually bored, or are you really hungry and you really need to eat some food? So kind of what mindful eating does is kind of like think of it as a scale. So before a meal, just stop, or even like a snack, just stop and think, okay, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being I'm super hungry, I can eat a horse. I'm gonna get an ulcer because my stomach is eating my stomach out. And then 5 being neither super hungry or super full. We kind of want to be at that 3. So kind of in between, just a little hungry, but not too hungry, like I'm ready for a meal. So that's a really good indicator that, okay, maybe I should grab a snack, or maybe I should like get something to eat. And now while you're eating, think of a scale while you're eating from 5 to 10 on the opposite spectrum. 5 being, again, that neither, full or really hungry, and that 10 being, I'm so full, my seams are busting, I need to unbuckle my belt. And we want to stay at that 7. So a good medium where, I'm full, I'm content, I feel good, and maybe I can eat a little bit more, but maybe not. So, and that's what I meant when saying this bullet point, eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. And that kind of helps us from not like overeating, because if you're bored and you're just emotionally eating, yes, that happens sometimes, that's okay, but we don't want to constantly do that just for overeating. And also on the end other side of the spectrum, we don't want to be eating so much that we're so full and we're so uncomfortable. And I know that we all are busy people, but it's good to have to set some time down and really sit down and eat a proper meal. And that can just be like 20 minutes. And that way you can really focus on what you're eating and your friends, or having conversation rather than guzzling up really quick. And it kind of leads into my next point of like, don't multitask. So we really want to focus on our food. So sometimes you're watching TV or maybe you're watching a YouTube video. When we have that kind of distraction, we can eat a whole bunch of stuff and we don't even realize that we ate a whole like meal already. And that way you can like slow down your eating and really um, take time eating. And this next bullet point, it actually takes about 20 minutes for your brain to register that you're actually full. So slowing down will help us, not overeat and really listen to our hunger cues and, listen to our fullness and listen to how much our body needs to eat. So our next thing is the part of this equation is fitting exercise into a busy schedule. So in the chat box, could y'all put what kind of forms of exercise that you guys participate already, or what kind of movements do you guys like to do? Walking, okay, walking twice a day, elliptical, yoga, that's great, yeah. Strength training, yoga, biking, hiking. Okay, that's all really great options. Spin, ooh, yes. Okay, awesome, guys. Awesome. Okay. So I just want to go over some benefits of exercise. It looks like you guys are really active people, which is great. So a couple of benefits of exercise is it gives you more energy and make you do that boost. I know sometimes after I work out, I feel great just because you get those boosts of endorphins. And it's known that after exercise, you actually increase dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin. So that makes you feel good and it makes you feel better about things. And there are also some great, really health benefits to exercise. It's known to lower heart disease. It helps us control our blood sugar if you're diabetic, and it builds strong, healthy bones and muscles, and also improves our sleep quality also. So some of the exercise recommendations by the American Heart Association and the CDC, it's either 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week and 75 minutes of vigorous exercise per week. So moderate exercise, you can think you're walking with your friend, but it's a little hard to talk, and that's about how your heart rate's going to be. You get the blood pumping and stuff. And vigorous exercise would be kind of categorized as really hard to speak, and your heart rate is like pumping, pumping, pumping. So just some kind of ideas. Could you be like, Annie, hold on, 150 minutes, that's a lot of time, right? But if you break it down, that's just 30 minutes a day, 3 times a day. And, some really easy ways or some tips and tricks to incorporate that 30-minute a day activity is maybe like taking 10-minute walks throughout the day. So I noticed earlier in the chat, people were saying around 2 to 4 is about when you guys are getting that low boost of energy, you're kind of like fatigued. Taking a 10-minute walk, maybe taking a brain break from your office if you're sitting all day, and will really help you get more energy for that moment and get back to work. Another suggestion is that maybe taking a bike ride or like a walk after dinner. Since the weather is getting really nice outside, really take advantage of what's outside. And 20 minutes in the grand spect of things isn't really a lot of time. So maybe take that and take the kids and maybe have that as a family like bonding time, getting their energy out for the day and, but also getting some movement in for the day. And another suggestion that I had was, maybe just go explore some nature. Oklahoma, we actually have some great nature to go look by. So on the weekends, maybe take a hike, go to the Wichita Mountains and explore and to see what's out there. So some suggestions for some vigorous activity are just a HIIT workout or join an intramural sports or swimming some laps, or maybe enjoying like a free Zumba class or something. And strength training, in addition to these exercises, is recommended also. And this is just to keep up, to maintain like before, the strong, healthy bones and muscles. And you don't have to go to the gym and pump out and go to the barbells and go to the section and get some free weights. You can use your own body weight. You can do body weight squats, your own push-ups, and you can do lunges. But then if you want to make it a little harder, you can add some resistance bands to that also. Alrighty. So the next one is like building confidence. So what me and Maddie kind of want to convey today with our presentation is that, focus what works for you. So you don't have to go to the gym and go do strength training. You don't have to go and, be on the elliptical for like 20 hours. Focus what works best for you and what you enjoy to do, because if you enjoy it, then you're more likely to do it, right? So some suggestions with that, if you really need a little bit more confidence, that maybe work out with a friend. It's easier to have somebody there with you to do the workout with you alongside you than by yourself. And if you like to work out alone, maybe just game plan your workout. Having a set mindset going into the gym before can kind of help with that confidence. Like, okay, I am going to do maybe 10 minutes as a warm up on the treadmill, and maybe do some squats and lunges, and maybe some shoulder presses, and then have your set game plan. And if you're not really confident, not knowing what you're doing, you can always just go to a personal trainer if you want. That way, not only that they're teaching you how to do these exercises, they're also there to support you. And if you also want some more support, join a group class. Group classes can be Zumba, yoga, spin classes, boot camp. So anything that fits your mojo and you need that extra support, maybe some energy from other people, join a group class. They're really fun and really great. And if you're not really comfortable going to a gym right now, especially with COVID, or you just don't feel like it, there are plenty of online workouts where you can go on YouTube, or like apps like the Nike training app. So start where you're comfortable and then slowly build upon where you feel like you can add more into your day or exercise routine. So just some of the things that are beneficial in a group class versus like individually. So a group fitness class is more structured. You're going to have an instructor that will kind of guide you, so you're not alone. You have support system from the instructor and also the people that are around you in the class, and you can also make friendships out of it. I know I go to this class with my friend. I've met her through my class, and we just have accountability between us. That I'm like, oh, if I don't see her, like, oh, maybe something's wrong, or just keeping that accountability. If group class isn't your thing, maybe individual fitness is you. Maybe it's for you, that alone, you need that alone time to have just that stress relief and get the 60 minutes of the day or 30 minutes of the day to yourself so you can de-stress. And maybe you're just more comfortable by yourself and just doing things by yourself, and that's okay. You can tailor your specific workout just for you, and you can modify your exercises about how you want to do and what your specific goals are.
And just to add something too, with group fitness, if you're considering trying out, I'm actually a spin instructor. And I always say, I know it can be intimidating, trying new things and stuff like that. But again, with the support system, I feel like in those classes, everyone is always so welcome. And if you're interested in it, there's a lot of gyms that do have free trials, or if you're more into individualized fitness, some have free trials with personal trainers and stuff. So look into that if that is something that you are interested in.
Thank you, Maddie. And then so our next point that we kind of want to convey is like why the scale shouldn't matter. So I know that a lot of people go in the mindset of weight loss, like I want to lose 15 pounds by the summer and get ready for that bikini. But you know what? Weight shouldn't be the only thing that determines your progress. Why I say this is that weight is influenced by so many things that we can't control. For example, exercise intensity. So if you had a really hard workout, your body is going to retain a little bit more water just to help with that inflammation, that recovery, and like the micro tears that are happening when you had that exercise. And that's completely normal, and that's okay. Another thing that influences weight is the type of food that you eat. So for example, if you ate a little more salt that day, a salty food. So like if you had like fried chicken with fries, your body, just because there's more sodium in your body is going to retain a little bit more water. So and also another one is hydration status. So when we're a little bit more dehydrated, our body tends to retain that water so we have enough water within our bodies. And as you're working out and you're making more progress, sometimes the scale doesn't move, or maybe it'll go up. And that not doesn't necessarily mean that you've gained weight. It could mean that you've gained muscle mass. So muscle mass is a lot denser than fat mass. So what could have happened is you've gained maybe 3 pounds of muscle mass, but you lost 3 pounds of fat mass. So that really equals out. So you're like, oh, why am I the same weight? But my clothes fit a little looser. That could be a reason why. And another thing is that our weight just fluctuates naturally throughout the day as we eat, as we move, as we drink water, as we go to the bathroom. So weighing yourself, isn't the best way to determine your progress, but it could be, but just don't let that factor in as progress completely. So, some other things that you can focus on instead of that number on the scale is there's just so many things, be proud of the small things that you accomplish. So, whether that's you're getting more energy through the day, harder exercise that you did like 2 months ago, now they're a breeze. Another thing is like, you're being more consistent and getting more movement. So, you're getting 3 times a day, or maybe even increasing that even more. You're getting better blood sugar control, you're feeling better about your body, you're feeling more confident. If you're getting a better relationship with food, maybe some less aches and pains or looser clothing. These are all things that you should celebrate. And they're all things that are progress, that maybe things that we don't typically think about as we go on this journey of being more active and healthy. Oops. Oh, so, just a summary of today, me and Maddie, our takeaway message is just be in balance. So, our thing is like all foods fit. There are no bad foods, no good foods, no clean foods, no dirty foods. Have a balance of what you eat. Get all three macronutrients, have that balance. If you're going to have fried chicken, maybe eat some vegetables, and that's okay. Some another thing is, just fuel yourself throughout the day. Remember that breakfast is really important for our brain function and gives us energy throughout the day, and listening to our hunger cues when we're hungry and need that boost of energy. Third of all, just listen to your body, whether that's, for exercise if you're tired or fatigued, maybe taking a rest day, or, listening to those hunger cues like, oh, I need a snack, like, let's go grab a snack. Listen to your body because your body knows what's best for you. And focus on what's best for you also. So do things that you enjoy. Don't do things that people force you upon, because if you enjoy it, you're more likely to do it and stick to it. And lastly, that you are not defined by the scale. There are so many things that is progress and that is positive, that is great. And don't focus on that little number on the scale. And thank you so much for joining our presentation today. Any questions? And you guys can put it in the chat also and um, unmute yourself. Okay, thoughts on intermittent fasting. I would say, Maddie, do you have any thoughts about
Yeah,
intermittent fasting?
on intermittent fasting, I don't see that one, or the intuitive eating.
Oh, it was a direct message to me.
On intermittent fasting. So I know some people do it, and they're able to really not eat for a long time and then eat. My only thing is, I think you just need to assess how much you're exercising, how much energy you're expending in the day. Because I think if you are exercising and expending more energy, you're gonna, be hungry. You're burning those calories and your body wants them back. So it kind of depends on the day. I would say to really just focus on the breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner. I think intermittent fasting can get tricky when you're really hungry, and it can possibly lead to, binging a lot of food and other things like that. But it's definitely a personal thing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Repeating what Maddie says, If you are doing intermittent fasting, maybe doing a shorter time frame, so maybe like an 8 to 8, that 12-hour period. But I wouldn't go more than that because that would kind of mix up your hunger cues and like listening to them. So our next question is, have y'all heard about intuitive eating trend and any thoughts about it?
I actually just wrote my capstone paper on intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is great. So basically what intuitive eating is Annie kind of touched on it with mindful eating. It's following your hunger cues and satiety cues. So satiety means your fullness. So with intuitive eating, just throughout the day, being mindful and say, okay, say you already ate breakfast and a snack, you're about to eat lunch and you have your whole lunch, but you're not like, I don't know, you're just not as hungry. You don't need to force yourself to keep eating. So really listen to your body, to your stomach. And as you're getting full, then, you stop eating as you're comfortable. Intuitive eating is a great thing. It's just all about kind of getting comfortable with yourself, with your body and your mind when you're eating and focusing on that relationship with food.
Yeah. Okay. And our next question is, Sherry found out that she is diabetic. What do you think is best way to diet? We can't give specific diets as students, but definitely I know some hospitals have like diabetic classes where you can like learn and what's best for you, or if you're wondering or working with a dietitian to kind of like work on your goals and that A1C and that blood sugar control. I know that's very vague, but there's a lot that goes into it. And
I
yeah,
would add on that and say take full advantage of any different learning packages you can get a hold of from a dietitian or your physician. Just really dive into just learning about it, taking time to read about it and, different books on it and stuff, and just kind of understanding and relearning your body a little bit to adjust to it.
yeah, great questions. Is there anything else? Anybody else? Alrighty, thank you guys so much for being a part of our presentation. I think Lindsay will send out our handout and also our slides after this.
Absolutely. Also, I just dropped in there real quick. The Harold Ham Diabetes Center on the Oklahoma City campus has some great resources too for diabetics. So I encourage you to look into those too stuff. We have a lot of great internal resources that sometimes we're not always aware of. So really encourage you guys to look into those and tap into them. In the follow-up email, I'll also include some various registered dietitian services if you want to reach out to those for more information and putting together a game plan. And also it is, pardon me, it is Wellness Week. So this was part of it. It aligned nicely to fall into our Wellness Week. We still have some various activities going on, whether they're virtual or a few in-person, like come and go type things. So encourage you to go ahead, check the website there for Wellness Week for the rest of the activities and events going on. I think we have some grab and go snacks on the Oklahoma City campus, Norman campus, even at the OU Medicine Edmond Hospital too this afternoon. We have a Zoom neck presentation on Zoom, but later on this afternoon too from Dr. Randall out of our Tulsa campus. And so again, just a variety of different things to get involved with. So I encourage you to head over to the website and double check what's left this week and get involved. So really appreciate you all. Yes, I'll send follow-up email with the slides and resources. So thank you all very, very much and have a wonderful afternoon.